Hi everybody, Dr. Kennedy Wienikamp, formulator and creator of the original SkinnyUp protocol. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about some things you've heard a lot about lately in the last maybe 3-4 years. It's a thing known as Syndrome X, or Metabolic Syndrome, or the latest name is Insulin Resistance. It's a big thing. You'll hear about the epidemic of type 2 diabetes in our country on the news and everywhere, and everyone's trying to figure out how in the world did we get here and how in the world can we get out. Bottom line is, if we could just control Syndrome X or insulin resistance, we could control pretty much 85, 90, 95% of all other diseases: heart disease, cancer, stroke, blood pressure issues, skin conditions, mental disorders. Those things all come from our inability to properly use sugar. I don't know if you realize it, but at the turn of the last century, in 1900s, early 1900s, they studied the amount of sugar that the average American was getting, and it was about 3 to 4 pounds a year. You know, kids used to have little rock candy for Christmas, and that was about it. Today, the average toddler has almost 200 pounds of sugar going into them. And that is creating a weird thing, because you know, it used to be it took, gosh, 60 years, 70 years before a human body would have enough sugar run through it that it would turn to a type 2 diabetic situation. Today, if you look it up and Google it, you are seeing that toddlers are now diabetic, type 2 diabetics, which means that they actually have eaten themselves to this condition, and they're only 5 years old, 10 years old, and that is that's a crying shame. That's why we're spending so much money in this healthcare system, and we have to figure something out. And that's why we've used SkinnyUp protocol in the last 6 years now to begin to change the world and the idea of how metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance can be handled. So what's happening really when we have metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance or Syndrome X? Bottom line is, the pancreas becomes totally exhausted. It cannot handle all of the call for insulin to be released and produced constantly. You know, the idea is you're only supposed to have, let's say, this much insulin being released by the pancreas all the time because of what you're eating. Hopefully you're eating more vegetables, fruits, fats in your diet, you know, nuts, meats, things like that, that require just a real low release of insulin and a low production by the pancreas of the insulin. But the typical American diet's way up here, see, and it burns up here all day long. People nibble on things all day long. They nurse the Diet Cokes and the Cokes. They, you know, they have things at their desk all the time that they're just kind of nibbling all the time, because we've been told that the best way to keep our metabolic rate up is to go ahead and nibble all day on stuff. Unfortunately, people don't nibble on good things. They nibble on really average things or even bad things, and that's a problem. What happens when we have too much insulin running through us for a real consistent amount of time? First thing is, we start to have a decrease in our resistance or our immune function. It's called IgG, IgE, immunoglobulins. These things create serious autoimmune dysfunctions within the body. Those things lead to gut issues. Okay, the gut is just this series of pipes running all the way through us, 30 feet of us, and or 30 feet going through us, and the walls of the gut start to thin out. The great physician Hans Selye, he was a neurobiochemist. I think he was from Sweden, somewhere over there in Europe. He said that the body can't really understand where all the stress comes from. It just knows that it's stressed. And that's stressful, and it causes the guts to thin out. The next thing is our brain clarity. Dr. Perlmutter, medical doctor who wrote the great book, The Grain Brain, he is showing us more and more about how our nervous system is completely under control of the carbohydrate in our diets, the grain, the corn, just the increased sugars, and how when that gets out of hand, it creates a serious, serious issue in the nervous system. Also, we have energy issues. We're totally exhausted. We have skin problems. We've got issues, okay? So The bottom line is the cardinal sign of I can no longer lose weight. Okay, after a while, I can't lower my blood sugar. I just can't figure out how to do it because the body's exhausted. It can't produce any more insulin for the situation. So this is our fight. We have type 2 diabetes running rampant in this country. And the cure to insulin resistance is through proper eating and the retraining of the brain process through the use of the SkinnyUp protocol. So make sure you go to SkinnyUp and check out our website and connect with us on Facebook and check out how we're retaking America and we're treating this epidemic globally. Thanks for watching.